Walaikum assalam. Okay. Okay, let's get started today. So our topics today, we wanted to cover two topics. The first one is the debugging, and we will talk about it, why we need debugging and what is Chrome debugging really about. And second topic is we have those Jira stories created and we want to assign those stories to everyone. So for every story, we would like to also have a Confluence page. I think initially we said that there will be one Confluence page per an epic. But I think once you start working on a story, there will be details about it, about the decisions you made, about the design and all that stuff, which you have to cover in order to complete that story. And the story can be on the backend side or on the front end side. Backend side means that you may be creating a REST API or creating a model on the backend so that you can send the data to the MongoDB or retrieve the data from the MongoDB. So that is the backend side of work. And the front end side would be how that data will be displayed on the page. So I just want to keep reminding you guys that these are the two separate areas in software development, that there is a front end developers and there is a back end developers. But we want you guys to be full stack developers. So the full stack developers are the ones who work on both back end and on the front end. So so for the other thing I want you guys to remember about, it's just a reminder. It's not, you guys probably already know that our every meeting style will be a Scrum meeting, which is the Scrum meeting is like a status meeting, or some people call it a stand-up meeting. So whenever we go to the work these days at 9 or 9:30, there is a standing meeting. So what in that meeting we do is we basically give an update. What did we do yesterday, and were there any issues about it, or what is it going to do tomorrow? Oh, sorry, no, what is it I am going to do today? So you basically have to cover that, and if there are any issues which you hit, that's something you can discuss. So I mean, for you guys, I think it's good to think about in this way, that every day you work on it, or every hour you work on it, you want to maybe create a task under your story for that. I'll show you guys, if you guys have a problem, that how to create a task. So everything you work on, you write a task, and task could be very, very simple. Like, for example, you added a field on a page, or you change the format on a page, or anything could be very, very small. So if you start adding that thing into your Jira stories, that will also help you understand how much time it took for you to finish the whole story. So that's one of the things which I want to make sure you guys understand. And the Scrum meeting, I hope you guys understand. Now, I'm not going to do it today because we had a Scrum meeting yesterday. So every week we will have a Scrum meeting. So the Scrum meeting will be that each one of you will give me, what did you guys do the last week, and what is it you are planning to do for the next week. So this is something, the format we want to have. So first 15 minutes of our weekly meeting will be a Scrum meeting, and then whatever topic we want to cover for that week. Does that make sense to everyone? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is very standard these days. This is called agile programming, and this is very common. Agile development. Sorry. So so this is. I just want to make sure that I explain that. The next thing I want to go over, I will start assigning the stories near the end of the meeting. I think the first thing I want to cover today is the Chrome debugging. So basically what I wanted to cover today, like I said, is Chrome debugging. So do you guys know why we need debugging? Does anybody have an idea? Why we call it a debug or something? What is this word does? Anyone can give a shot here? Maybe I ask people rather than, because I think most of the time one person respond. How about you, Subhan? Why would you need debugging?
It's used to like check if there is any errors in the code or in the software and to identify them.
Okay, good, good. Anyone else, Afif? You know?
Yeah, debugging like prevents whenever anything could happen. Debugging also like just overall clears up the program. You can concise the code. You can make sure there's no bugs in the future as well.
Okay, okay, good, good. How about Hamza? What do you think about debugging?
Yeah, debugging will also let you see certain data and certain variables at a certain point in time in your coding as well.
I think you got all guys, all of you guys were correct in this, that basically all these answers are correct. That basically debugging we need when you are running a program and it is not working as expected. So if it is, you're not getting your desired results, you basically want to see why. And long time ago, when we started the programming, the debugging was, there were not many debugging tools available. So these days it's everywhere that every tool has a debugger. At the time we were doing development, especially in C, C++ or COBOL or other very low level language, they didn't have the debuggers. The only way to debug during that times, which is actually still used today, is like in JavaScript, you can say console.log. So what console.log statement does is in JavaScript is basically it logs the value of the variable in the console. And I'll show where the console is, and then you guys can get familiar. So even today, the console.log is very popular. And at that time also, like 15 years ago or 20 years ago, when we were doing started learning coding, we were like doing a printf in C or C++, that printf this value, printf this value, and in different functions, what is the value of this variable, what is the value of that variable. That helps you understand the flow of the program, how the statements are executing. So you guys understand that when we write a code, it gets compiled and it runs, right, when we're running it. So the way the good programmers, the people who understand the programming very well, their compiler is actually in their head also. So when they are writing the code, they basically are running that or debugging the code, they are running that code in their mind. So in their head, they are running that program and see, okay, this step happened, this step happened, this step happened. And then why it is not working as expected, what is it that is causing that the desired results are not showing up. So at the time, like I said, we used to use a printf or something, and that is still being used in modern tools also. There's a console.log for JavaScript, and the other tools also have different. But especially with the introduction of Chrome, the debugger actually came for the browsers. There were some other, like Internet Explorer had the debugger, but it was very basic debugger. But after the Chrome came in with the debugger, I think most of the other tools picked up, even Firefox. I think Firefox was ahead of Chrome. So Firefox came before Chrome, and they had the debugger also. But Chrome, once the Chrome debugger came in, it basically standardized that these kind of debuggers are needed for every browser to support. So Safari has it now, Chrome has it now, Firefox has it now, same as the Edge or any other Microsoft browsers has that. So I think Firefox, Chrome, and Safari, they run on a same design. IE is slightly different, and I think Edge is also on the similar design as. So if you look at their debuggers or their properties of the DOMs and stuff, they are very similar or same. So let me now show you what is it like to debug using Chrome. So let me share my screen. Any questions so far? Is everyone okay with what we're talking about? Any confusions I have created so far? Okay, quite good. Okay. So what I'll do is basically I'll show you guys from our application, because that's something we already are using it. So it makes a lot of sense to take a look. So this is our application, which we have been looking at since the beginning of our sessions. So basically I'll close the current debugger. So basically this is our browser. The way to open the debugger is you right click anywhere and click on the inspect. And this inspect is not just the debugger, it's a lot more than debugger. So if I click the inspect, in my case, it opens this window, the debugger window on the right side. And basically you can put this anywhere. So in this case right now it is set up as this. Some people like it to be on the bottom. Firefox normally is here. Or some people like it to be as a separate window. So if you want to have a lot of real estate, available, you can have a separate window which can you can debug in a separate window in this case. So, but like I said, I like it on the right side, because then I have a full view of the UI as well as the debugger at the same time. And I normally use a widescreen monitor, so I have enough real estate in my monitor to debug and look at the screen at the same time. So if once I click this and I see the debugger on the right side, if you notice, there are some information here like elements, console, sources, network, performance, and some other more. We may not be able to cover the whole thing today. And my goal is to give you guys the introduction. I don't want to get too deep so that you guys get completely bored out of it. So I want to make sure that you guys get a good flavor of what it is, and then explore on your own. And if you guys have more questions, you guys can ask me, or there are YouTube videos available out there which can help you get more into it. So I'll come back to the elements later. I'll show you the console first. So if I look at the console, if you notice, it is showing some data here, like an object, and object has some data. So basically anything we say the console.log in our code will show up here, and we will show you how it happens. So the way it is that we'll have to change our code so that we put a console.log statement, and then it shows up here. This is also coming up as a console.log. So somewhere in the code we have we are printing these objects so that they are showing it in the console. So this is straightforward. Anything else? So console also have all the exceptions being thrown by the program all also showed up in the console. You guys understand exceptions? Don't be confused about the exception. Think exception is like an errors. If some code did not execute properly, the browser will throw an error, and that will also show up in the console. So that is, I hope, and like I said, I'll give you guys a brief introduction. If you guys want to learn more, we can discuss more, but I don't want to get too deep into this. Then is the sources. The sources is where all the source code is, like all the source code of our project right now, because we are running our project. It knows where that source code is, and it has mapped that stuff for us. And I'll hold this thought for a little while again, and then I'll go to the network first. The network basically shows all the requests which have been made or which have been sent to the server. So for example, in order for us to show all the members, we have to make the request to the server to get us back all the data, right? Because the data is stored in the database. There will be some API which will execute, which will do a get and bring all the data back. So let me do a refresh on this. So when I do the refresh, it will make a request. I'll just for now continue. I will not gonna get too much into it for now. So when I did continue, if you guys notice, there is a request being made, and the request says members. So if you look at the request, this is a members request which we made, and this is our request that brings us back the members in this. When I click this, it will show another set of tabs for me, like headers, preview, response, and some other not very important ones for us. I think that for now, we just need to understand what is the headers and what is the response. Headers is think like this is a request which you made. And what are the headers you set? Like, what is my request URL? So members is our API which we make, but its URL is the whole thing, like I have it here, localhost and the members. So this is the request. The request method is get. The status code we back is 200. 200 means it's a good status. That's why it says okay. If there is any status in 400s or 500s, that means that the request failed for some reason. And we will go over the statuses later. Don't have to worry about it now. As long as it shows green and 200, that means it's a good status. That the request was successful. Don't have to worry about these headers for now. We at some point will cover what is the request headers, what are the response headers, and don't worry about anything else except, in this case, nothing else is important. Just what is my request URL and what is my method is a get method. There could be different types of methods. And like I said, we will cover the REST APIs in the next session, inshallah. So that is the only thing I wanted to cover for the headers. For the response is basically what is the response that comes back. This response is basically, it's stringified. So I think the preview might give us a better idea. So this is the response which we got back. So all the information that is in the database. For example, what is the city name, country, and so basically when we made the request, it returns us all the 6 rows back, starting from 0 to 5. So, and if I expand every object, these are all the JSON objects. So once the response comes back, this is the JSON object we got back, and it has all its attributes which we have defined in our model. Does it make sense, or you guys are not following me? Stop me anywhere you guys think that I'm not making sense to you guys. Is it okay so far?
So when you did the refresh, this 1000 millisecond or whatever time it took, this is the time it took when you did the refresh from the browser to the server, right?
Yes. So this is the time from the request was sent from the browser and response was come back. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, the preview, this is not in the net, like the network is something and whatever you are showing is the output is something else. It is not under the network, or it is part of the network.
I didn't follow the question.
No, yeah, like this members, headers, preview is part of the networking tab, the network tab.
This is under the network.
So all of this under the network. Okay.
Yeah. This is under the network. So this is basically the first one, the response of the first one, right? So that's again, then there is another one, and then there is another one. So basically all these 6 records are shown here, starting from 0. Did I answer your question correctly, or I'm not following your question?
No, you answered. Yes, thank you.
Good. Okay, so this is the network tab. I want to get to the sources because that's where the debugging starts. There is a performance tab also, and performance tab is used for calculating the performance. The performance is because sometimes while you do, right now our page is very, very simple, but over time the pages become more complicated. There is more logic in there. So we want to make sure that if the page is taking too long, then we need to evaluate why it is taking too long, and that's when we use the performance stuff. So don't have to worry about it now for now, because our pages is loading pretty fast right now. But at some point we might have to look into why it is taking longer, and then we can do a performance, basically profiling. This is called profiling. Profile is the word which is used for performance stuff. There are some more tabs in here. There is a memory tab. There is an application tab. These are also advanced tabs. We will get to them at some point, but for now, we can ignore. The other important ones are the components. The components is basically, this is a plugin for React. So if you are running a React, you should have that plugin. I think it will not be there by default. You can add it as a plugin to your I think probably from the more tools you can go and add plugins. I'll check it out and let you guys know how to add this plugin in here. So going back to the sources now, and this is the important one. I want you guys to pay attention because this is something which you guys want to keep in mind how, and this will be used for us quite a bit. If you look at, there is a bottom tab you guys also seeing here. This is also the console tab. So the console shows up from here. You see all that same stuff is here, and console shows up under the sources also. So you can basically pin that tab here so that you can see the console in the same place. So in this case, your debugger is basically showing your console, your call stack, your scope variables, and the actual source code here. So in this case, you guys might see that since I already have the breakpoints, you are seeing the source files. But sometimes when you're just starting opening it for the first time, you might not see any source files here. So the way to do is you need to know which files you need to open for this this module, the module which you are working on. So for Mac, you can do a Command P. For Windows, you can do a Control P in this. And then you can start typing your, like in my case, I need to open members, members.jsx, for example. So if I want to open that, I can just type in that and then it will show me the list and then I can pick up which one I need. So in this case, I need this one since I wanted to use debug this file. And basically just think about it that the issue I was debugging is, let's assume something, we just mock an issue. The issue is that we were supposed to get 6 records, or sorry, we were supposed to get 7 records and we are only getting 6. For the example is that I saved a new member and for some reason it failed to save it. And then when I looked at the list of the members, I see that, oh, there are still 6 members. So what could go wrong? So in this case, I would first want to see if that 7th record is in my database or not. So in order for me to do that, when I do the refresh, the reason I do the refresh is I'm just loading it so that it goes through my code again. Refresh is commonly used for debugging purposes. So when I do a refresh means it reloads that page. So when it reloads that page means it will reload my JavaScript also. So when I say refresh, so you see that it put a breakpoint and it paused the flow of the program or the execution of the program. And that's what really we need, that we want to see at certain point, what was the value of different variables or what is the, like in this case, I want to see what is the data which was returned. So one way was for me to just go and look at the network and see how many rows it returned. And if it shows that it returned 6 rows instead of 7, then I know that I was not able to save my data correctly. Then I probably should debug in my save. And we will debug that too. So for example, in this code, the first thing in these JSX files, it does, one of the first things, don't take my word on first thing. One of the first things is that it runs that the component did mount. Component did mount is that basically the component has been loaded, or the component is like a constructor, more like if you guys are familiar with some C++ or object-oriented word, it's basically, or if you are on a C or any, think about more like you entered into the main function, like in Python. So this is more like a main function, component did mount. So what I did is I put a breakpoint on the first line or the second line in this function under the try catch block. So I put a breakpoint here. So it stopped here. So what is it? So basically my program execution is stopped here. And what I can see is that we did a res is equal to await. So basically this is what this is doing is it is making a REST request, which is returning the result of this REST request into RES. And I can just hover over RES and it will show me what is in this. So like the data is going to show me what is the data it is returning. All the information is here for all the members. So this is showing me that it has six records. So it does not have 7 records. So that is the first hint you got that there is some problem in save. But before we get into the save, we will still look for some more information. So in this code, what we are doing is we're getting the result, and then we are setting that result back to the members. In this, the member is the local variable here. We define a local array. So basically, it gets the members and sets the value there. So basically, if I want to, like I said, I can do a hover, or I can go in the console, like I was earlier saying, and say, I'll just type in RES. Once I type RES and press enter, it will show me the same information here also. And then I can get to the data. And same way, like here, I can say res.data. And if you look at it, it provides a very nice help over there also, that I can actually get into res.data is giving me the actual data like I was seeing. And then I can go into an individual element, like, so I can say res.data1. So I want to go to the second row. And I want to look at res.data1. Data1 is this is the array element, and I can say, let's say the first name. So it will give me the first name. So all this stuff is available. So basically the benefit of doing this is that your program execution has stopped on the breakpoint. Wherever we put the breakpoint, your program execution has stopped right there on the breakpoint. And whatever you want to get information, you can do this information here. You just have to understand how to parse the data in JSON. And I think we want to cover the JSON also at some point. I keep talking about this stuff. It's keep reminding me that we need to cover some more topics. So we want to cover the JSON also. What is JSON? We did cover a JSON database yesterday. I think we need to provide some introduction of the JSON as well at some point. So is it good so far? Any questions anyone has?
Like maybe why did you choose this specific, like how to choose a breakpoint since the program stopped?
Yeah, so like I said, that this is like a main function for this page, right? So the main function is where the program execution will get first. So that's the first thing is happening in this code, is that res give me this result, right? So I put a breakpoint on line 25. I could have done it on 24 also, and then go to the next statement. So yeah, so does that answer your question?
Kind of, but I'm like why did you choose this point? Like, why did you choose where the program starts?
Yeah, so I want to see where my program starts. I want to get there first and then maybe step through the statement. So let me go maybe a little bit further, and then that may help you.
It kind of like has to do with the same thing. I just try to set a breakpoint on line 24 and kind of step through it.
Yeah.
But it was taking me to like a endless loop of like other files and like code from like libraries and things.
Yes,
so,
and that's something we have to avoid as much as we can. We can't just step into the libraries, and that's where I was going to go. So yeah, just hold that thought. I'm going to cover that. Because a lot of these libraries are so complicated, and there is hardly any chance of us finding a bug in those libraries. So we don't need to step into those libraries anyways. Those libraries are well tested and there is no really need for us to debug into them most of the times. Once we become advanced developers, yes, certainly. But initially, we will not need to step into that code. So let me go a little bit further. And Hisham, I'll get back to you again and ask that if it answers your question. So basically, we put a breakpoint here, we get a value in the result, and we find that, okay, there should be 7 records, but there are 6. So maybe I go and try to create a new member again and see how that helps. So if I look at this code, I will see this as our main code. So like I said, this component did amount is the first function, one of the first functions which will be executed when this page is loaded. So that is when the page is loaded for the first time, right? Then there will be some more functions, like I have the save new member, or we can have a save update member, or there could be a handle member edit save. So these are all the functions which we have written on certain events, like when we are adding a new member and trying to save the data, we are basically executing some code. So based on that, as developers, we know that where my code is supposed to go. Like I just earlier said, that this code, before it runs in the debugger, it has to run in our mind, and in our head, you have to have a good understanding of, okay, if I do this, it's going to go in which function? Is it going to do a save, or is it going to delete, or is whatever it is going to do? So that code has to be running in your head first. So let's do more things. So I'll just continue the execution of this, and that's basically now it has loaded the page for us. So let's see, let's try to add a new row here, and we say whose name I should use. Afif, I'm taking your name today, Afif.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Afif and Ali. Okay, and then house numbers, anything, doesn't matter. Some street. And let's use Fremont. I don't think you guys live in Fremont though, right? So
No.
anyways, so when I do the save, I expect it to stop somewhere. So I already had put a breakpoint, like I said, that when I'll do the save, I know that it has to handle member edit save. So this is the first line in this code. Try, we cannot put a breakpoint on a try, there is no point. We will put a breakpoint on the statement which is next to the try code. And I have to cover try catch block at some point also. Don't be confused on that also. So if you look at this one, so as soon as I click the save, it stopped the code execution right here. So this is almost the first thing it is doing. So if you look at this tab here, it is showing all of my breakpoints. So if I look at this, I can expand, collapse them. So if I expand them, there are 4 breakpoints here. And then there's another thing which we will cover. I'm not going to get into it right now, but this is called a call stack. That how did we get into this code? What was the different functions it went through, and how did we get to this? So this is called a call stack. Whenever we are executing a program and we stop the execution of the program, it will always have a call stack, that a function A or the main function called function B, it called function C, it called function D, and then we get into this member edit. So there is always a call stack, and this call stack is available here in the browser. This is a huge call stack in this case, not actually that big. Will be much bigger than this. So if we look at this code, we don't need to look into these functions, because these are all like Rafi was saying, these are all functions which are in the libraries. So we don't need to look into those. The only functions which seems to be a little bit relevant to us is this members.jsx and the member added.jsx. So if I click on the member added in the call stack, it will show us that this is the function which is the parent function of the member edit save. So basically handle save function was the first function that was called when I click the save button. So that function got called, and this function basically called another function, which is member edit save. And this is the beauty of the debugger, that it provides you that call stack, and it also lets you inspect different members data, different data which is used in this program. So for example, in this case, you have access to all this data. You can look at the member and the other stuff here. So for example, this function is receiving a parameter, and that parameter is M. So M is where we are getting our data, like the data which I entered here in this case. So if I type in M here, it will return us all the data which we entered in this screen. Okay, so then if I want to see, okay, I like it that this is all the data, this looks correct data, then I want to go to the next statement and see what happens. So when I want to go to the next statement, you see some buttons here in here. So if you hover over these buttons, that will explain you what these buttons are for. So for example, the first one is the resume script execution. Means if I click this button, it will continue the execution of the program unless it hits another breakpoint, but it will skip this breakpoint for now. Skip means that it will continue the execution. If I want to, the next button is step over the next function call. So these two or these three basically are very much related buttons. So this means that I want to go to the next statement. When it says step over, means that I don't want to, if let's say this was another function and I want to get into that, then I would not click this button, then I will click this button. So for example, I'll give you the example, I think a little bit later. So this is the step over, this is a step in, and this is step out. So if you want to get out of this function, then you click this. So this is a continue execution. This is like going to the next statement without stepping into it. This one is stepping into the function call, and this is the stepping out of the function call. There are some others also. Maybe you want to, if you want to pause the execution, and or if you want to disable all the breakpoints. So if you click this, all the breakpoints will be disabled. So I don't want to disable right now, so I enable them back. So let's go to the next statement. So what will happen is, in this like code, I'm checking if this dot state dot if this dot state is add new member, then I'll just click this one and it will take the execution to the next statement. And if I want to see what happened next, I can again step to the next. So I click this, it will go. So you see that when I step the statement, it executed this statement and put all the console log in here. So as soon as I step over this line, it basically showed me that line here. And then I can, so then we get to the statement, which is on the line 91. So this is where you can use the step in. If you wanted to see what, because this is another function, you can step into this function also. So that will be clicking this one. So this will take the execution into this save new member. So now if you look at our call stack, you will see that this is the parent function and this is the grandparent function. So we are in this function. If I want to keep going to the next statement, I can keep clicking this. If I want to get out of this function, I can just click this. That means I want to step out back into this function. So it will take me back into, actually, it went a little bit further than I expected. So let me continue. So this now basically got saved here somewhere. Yeah, right here, Afifal. It actually didn't work as I expected, but let me try editing this row again. So if I click edit and I want to change this to, let's say, let me put it back to Mountain House, and then This is nothing to do with this application. Let me try doing again. This is just the browser behavior. So let me type San Jose. And then I want to save it. So again, if you notice, it will come again here into the handle member handle edit member save. And I can look at different values here. Like I said, we can hover over M and see what's in the M, and we can continue the execution. We can see what is the value of which we are doing. So city is Fremont. That was the old information, I believe. And if I go next, it will set the member function value again. So we set it in the town. I think this code is probably old and it is not doing as expected because it is not setting the city. So I think the backend code does not have the city. So it is not going to save this data in this case. But does it make sense what I'm talking about, or are you guys confused on this?
I was wondering, like, because through Visual Studio Code it also has debugging. Why can't we use that debugging instead?
We can, if it is possible to do that, but this debugger is more powerful, and there are a lot of things you can do here. So I mean, it has just and the problem is then you will have to attach your browser to the Visual Studio Code, and it makes a little bit difficult to debug. That's a good question though, because it is certainly possible to do that. And any other questions?
I mean, it is right to say that like when you start the debugger, it stops at the first breakpoint, right?
Yes.
So basically what I need to do is that first I need to understand where is the issue is happening.
Yes.
From the error which came out, right?
Yeah.
And then I want to put a breakpoint before it enters a place where I'm expecting that this is where the error is happening. Yeah. And then I start stepping through until the next breakpoint.
Yes, or until you hit the statement which is causing the problem, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the flow exactly. You spelled it right.
Okay.
Any other questions here? So there is a lot more we can cover, but we don't have to cover that right now. So let's add it one more time.
So one more question. The step over is you just execute the function without stepping into it?
Yes.
And then step in, if there is a function, I will step into each line in this function, correct?
So if it is not a function, the step in and step over is same. But if it is a function, okay, then their behavior will be different. So let's say if in this case, I will do a save, I can, like in this case, this is...
It went over the if statement, if else statement.
Yeah, because we are checking if it's a new member. So it's not a new member. I was editing existing member. So it basically, that's why it ignores all those statements. So this, when I was adding a new record, then this was true. And that's why it was entering in this part. But in this case, since I'm editing an existing member, it's not an add new member, is false. That's why we are here. And it's actually, you can trick the debugger also, not trick, but that's also a facility it provides. So for example, this debugger right now it is saying false. You can make it that it returns true also. For example, let me do something like that. Let me finish this and do one more thing here. So let's say I click and add it here. And I want to change this to, let's say 100. And then I go here and click save. And here it says this is false. What I can do here is if I want to make it true, because sometimes you need to see the behavior, what happens if the value is true in this case. So I can say this dot state, basically whatever is there is add new member. Right now it is showing its value is false. If I say is equal to true, it will set its value to true. So this is actually a great feature in the debuggers. A lot of debuggers offer that you can change the value of the variable. So basically, instead, this function now will take you into the line number 90 instead of line number 93. I don't want to do that right now, but I'm just giving you guys. So I can set it back to false like this. So now its value is back to false. So if I continue, it will basically save this data with the value which is 100 now. Does it make sense? Yeah, like I said, I can go more, but I don't think that it's a good idea, because then you guys will probably be more confused. Let's say what else I can cover. So like I said, this is the breakpoints, is the list of all the breakpoints which I have. Call stack is how I get there in this, but like what is my program execution flow? So that is this. Then there are some other kind of XHR as XML HTTP request breakpoints, then DOM breakpoints, some event listener breakpoints. So for example, sometimes you want to put a breakpoint which is based on an event. So for example, you drag and drop something, or you want to stop whenever the mouse click happens. So in that case, you will find the list, expand this mouse and put a breakpoint on the click. So this basically, if I set this breakpoint, anytime I click anywhere, this breakpoint will be hit. So this is like more kinds of breakpoint. You don't need to get into that. I think, like I said, these are for future, maybe advanced stuff. There is more information on this tab also. Like it shows you what is in scope right now. What are the variables which are currently in use? Like under the local, you have this M member variable. You can just expand this information here and see what is in here. So it is 101 since I changed it to 1001. And this is the member information. Then there is this variable. This is not something you have to worry about right now. We will talk about this variable at some point. And then some global stuff. Don't have to worry about that. And then sometimes you want to do a watch. Watch is that while you are going from one point to another point, one statement to another statement, you just want to keep inspecting or keep watching the value. So for example, we want to see that what is the value of M, is the value of M changes here. So if I can say M, and then so basically anytime it executes some code, it keeps showing me this value. So watch mean that for every statement, I don't want to keep looking for that value myself. The debugger will automatically show me that value of that variable after every statement is executed. So that is something you can watch. So watch is more like you keep watching the value of the variable while you are going through the execution of the program. I think that's probably good enough for now. We can expand more on it at some later point, but if you guys have followed what I have said so far, or even 50% of it, that still is a great achievement, I think. And we can go over a little bit more in future. And any questions anyone has?
I have a comment and a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
A comment is just this stib and the stib over. This I think was Hisham's question. You can think of stib over as something that helps you stib over a block of code, no matter what the block that block is. This block can be an if condition, a for loop, a while loop, a function. So anything when you open a parentheses or curly brackets, we put a bunch of commands inside and then you close the brackets. We call that a block of code. So stib over will help you get over that block of code before you get into it. So it executed, but it won't stop inside. It will just keep going until it hits the part after that block of code. So that's how I think of stib over. While stib in, it will take you inside that code, and then if that code has a function or calling another function, it will keep taking you inside that function as you go. And stib is just taking you one command after, or one line after your current code. That's how you can think of the three differences when you debug. Stib out is when you are inside the function and you're done, and you feel like the function is working. You don't need to see it anymore. You just need to get out of it. So you say step out. Still, the debugger will execute it, but then it will get you out to after the function execution. So hopefully that clarifies the differences.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
My question is, so I haven't used Google Debugger before. Can you actually modify code here and sort of
Yes.
rebuild and reload
Yes.
and see the changes?
Yeah. So this is what I have. Like, if you notice, there is something you have to enable. So it says enable local overrides. You basically, whatever you make change here. So for example, if let's say if I want to do a console.log and say like M, for example. And so basically all I have to do is save this code, and it will just run it as if this statement existed in this program. So you could do that exactly. So if we hit this code again, let's try that. Okay, let's save. So if I go here, it basically did show that value, but it's right now it's probably, let me retry it. I wonder why it. I think my debugger is behaving a little bit weird. So basically it has stored this file locally here as this file, and this statement is available. Let me try again. What happened? I was seeing some weird behavior also. When I do a save, it's basically should go to the next statement. Oh, it is not going. Let me see if there's a reload is necessary. Let's try reloading. And continue, edit, save. Yeah, and this statement is disabled for some reason right now, but it is certainly possible. I do that all the time.
And then that change hits in the original file and your actual.
For some reason it is enable override. This has to be enabled, but yeah.
But will it change the VS Code file?
No, it will not. It will not change the VS Code. It will just change. This change is just local. While you're just trying to figure out what is the issue, you can add more code from yourself. And then once it is tested here, then you can go and update your VS Code. That's how the normal flow is.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me try one more time.
Thank you, Brother Nine.
Yeah, for some reason, if you see the 64 is not enabled for some reason. Not sure why. Let me see if I can make a breakpoint here. There's some issue with this code right now. You see if it is not loading some of the, so like here, if I want to do console.log, say res, and save. Let's see now. If I do a refresh, so let me refresh here and see if I can go to the next statement. Yeah. Yeah, no, it has, the debugger is not behaving correctly right now, the way I expected to. So yeah, maybe I can show it maybe next time. But this is supposed to work like that. Any other questions we have?
Yeah, is that debug folder on your machine in overrides?
Oh, this one? Yes.
Yeah.
This is part of this is stored somewhere. Like if we go say open, I think there is a way to open this. I say open folder. Yeah, it will show you where it is exactly. If you right click it and show, it will show you what's the location of that file is. So like
Right.
here, you say open folder. It is opening for me right here.
Yeah, because
so
I don't.
for our side, it is this one. So
Right.
this is where your location of your local files is. So normally the way we do the development is that when we are debugging the code and it is not working, we make the changes directly in the browser like I was showing. And then once those changes work, then we go back, put it in the VS Code. Okay, so I thought we would cover database design also, but not today. I think that's already close to the end of the hours, end of our meeting. So I want to cover one more thing quickly. So basically, we want to assign those stories which we have created in the Jira. And let me see where we have those.
After this, I have a little update on the progress I've made. I wasn't able to show it yesterday, so.
Oh, okay, just give me
Today.
So we have, if I go to the roadmap or backlog, we have all these stories, right? And we would like to get who are the owners of these. Do you guys go through, can you guys go through these stories and assign it to yourselves? Hamza, you are already ahead in the membership page. So I would want you to take the ownership of those stories. Rafi, you are for the payment stuff. So I would like you to keep some stories yourself for you to work on and assign Subhan and Wahaj. So I know Wahaj is already working on the UI. Subhan, you can work on the backend side of the membership, and which is the REST API stuff. And I'm not putting those because we are close to the end of the meeting. I don't want to keep you guys for so long. So I would like you guys to go through those stories and assign those to them yourselves. Urva and Afif, you guys also have those stories already created. And I would like you guys to take the ownership of those and get started on those. And you guys are welcome to maybe have a separate meeting with me during the week if you guys get stuck somewhere and you don't understand, if it is not making sense, you can set up a meeting. You can ask the question in the group so that any other mentors, if they want to join, they can join the meeting as well. Any questions on this? Rafa, you understand what I'm saying about the?
Yeah, I got it. I'll go ahead and talk to Subhan and Wahaj offline, and we can discuss all the stories.
And Afif, you and Urwa, you have been very quiet. I haven't heard from you at all.
Yeah, Afif and I are probably going to work on both of the stories together. We usually meet separately throughout the week to decide how we're going to divvy things up.
Okay, good. And Hamza, how about you and Hisham? Are you guys working together, or you guys talk to each other at all?
Yeah, we'll be meeting throughout the week as well.
Okay, so go through these stories, and if some story does not make sense, ask the question in the group, and then we will be able to respond to that.
A quick question, Naeem Uncle. Since we haven't really talked about the backend and the REST API stuff, I think you are going to be covering that stuff next week.
Yes.
The backend, the stories that do deal with backend content, kind of a little difficult to work on because we haven't talked too much about it. I noticed in the Confluence docs that you put up some useful content. So would you like us to still kind of go through that material and just try to get it done, or?
Well, I mean, you guys will not be done in a week anyways.
Of course
I just want
not,
you guys to start looking at it, start to see what it does, and whoever take the ownership of that should read that documents and see if it makes sense. If it doesn't, we will cover it next week for the whole team.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
And is there anything else, any other questions you guys have that I need to answer, or are we good for now? And we will have our regular meeting on Saturdays, again, 9 p.m. If anyone has a problem with that, please let us know. We're still open to change the time or the day if it doesn't work. I would like to have everyone participating and making progress and learning. And that will give us the good feeling that if you guys are benefiting from what we're doing. Okay, so looks like we're done. All right, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, I'm 1 second. Could I just give a little update on what I've done?
Oh,
so
I'm
far?
sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
And unfortunate part is that I don't think I recorded a meeting today.
No, I think you did. There's the recording.
Oh, there is a recording? Okay, good.
I don't think I can share screen until.
Oh, yes, I have to stop share. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so what have we done so far is I made a table redesign for the members page because I thought that since we're going to be having the printed PDF and export to CSV, and since there could be adjustable columns due to filters, I was thinking that we should probably have an adjustable table and different filters in the members page itself. So you know how there's the members and then there's the edit and remove. We could have a page like this where we can actually adjust the columns and identify the different access to different members. This is mock data using Mockaroo. So I just use this and I'm using a YouTube tutorial to try to find out how to make tables in React. So here are the grouped columns, and there's also column filters per column. So ID and the group like name has filter first name, last name, and this is ascending, descending. I can get to that afterward. This is a global search. So for example, if I wanted to search like anything, for example, Pakistan, I can get all the Pakistan users from a country, or if I wanted to search from any different part of the columns, then I can get anything from the global search. For example, if I wanted to do an ascending order, and let's just get AAR, you have Aaron, and then you can access Aaron from the database as well. If you wanted to access from cities, I have only entered a few of these because I didn't have these originally. But yeah, you can enter a city and you're going to be able to access that. These columns are also adjustable. You can remove the ID or the name as the group column. So then if you don't want the name, info can be removed. But of course, I can filter that out, make like, for example, if you want your amount to only show, or you don't want your amount, you don't want your voter, you could have like city show. So basically, and there's different paginations for the lots of different, what they call datas.
No, this is great, but this is not using React right now. Is that correct?
This is using React. This is just a new React app, not on what our main page is.
Oh, I see. I see.
We're just experimenting with this.
So this is actually great. I mean, this looks very, very useful, like very similar features to what Excel actually provides you. But this is, then you will have to probably work with Hamza also, because Hamza is also doing something similar. Hamza, is that correct?
Yeah. Honestly, it does look good. So if you do want to work with me on it, I'd be down for that. We could talk throughout the week or something.
Yeah, definitely. Because I kind of wanted to make this because it especially helps for something like printed PDF, where you can see how when if they just control P and they can save it as a PDF, then they can actually access all the information. It actually adjusts depending on which columns you're selecting, and they'll fit to page as well. So I kind of wanted to use this as a part of the printed PDF, because currently the printed PDF is a little broken in the sense that the tables, they don't like render properly on the, and if we're going to be adding more columns or filters, it's going to be difficult to adjust on the actual printing.
Good, good. So is it using some React library which is there to support something this, or you using
React table? Yes.
Okay, okay, got it.
And
So
I've
it's not
also
support,
imported
okay.
table. Yes.
This looks really cool, but could you actually upload this to your Git and then maybe share the repository? If it's a separate app, maybe either like you can create a new repository or something, or maybe just share the code. I'd love to like take a look at it.
Yet. There's just I think 2 more, so then I can finish those up, and then once this is done, I can just publish that out.
All right, sounds good. Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to like take a look at how you got this going.
No, I think he should check in whatever changes he make. He should check in his own fork, and then we can see.
Oh yeah, or yeah, you could just add this file to your fork. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Great progress, Afif.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. And I want the other people also to start showing me from every, like I said, that we will have a Scrum meeting every week now, and we want to see what you guys did. And I want to make sure that we are all making progress and we are all learning from it. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.